morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today we need to take a look at what happens to these world promos. You see, recently they revealed Paradise Resort. It's a new Paradise Resort. It's a special Paradise Resort, but of course it is. Every year at the World Championships has a special Paradise Resort. This year it is themed after, shockingly enough, Anaheim, because Worlds is in Anaheim. And last year it was themed after, well, I mean, honestly, it was Hawaii, because Worlds was in Hawaii. And the year before, I'm sure you knew this, but let's just say it anyway, the year before it was themed after Yokohama, which incidentally was actually the first time we'd actually had the Paradise Resort promo. Before then, it had actually been different kinds of cards. We might talk about some of them as we get through. But a lot of people are going to be asking, well, hang on a second, Wassy. What is actually the deal with Paradise Resort? How expensive do they end up being? And I thought it might be fun to have a little bit of a look. Now, to be clear, we are talking about Paradise Resort here. Pokemon have started doing these really cool other Worlds promos, what I like to call the casual World promos, that you can pick up by like going to your local game store, etc. They are not the same. Alright, they are Pikachu having a fight against somebody, you know, the winner of last year's Worlds in a stadium. It's cool. That is not the one we're talking about. Now, obviously, when it comes to Paradise Resort for this year, no, we don't know how much it's going to be. That's ridiculous. But what we can do is we can look at previous year's Paradise Resort, and we can have a little bit of a look at those. So let's go to Paradise Resort 2024, the one that came around for Honolulu. And it really depends what you're looking for. Now, generally speaking, English is going to be the one that people want the most. And there's a very good reason for this. And the reason for this is incredibly simple. It's got more countries that can use it. Anywhere in Europe can use the English version of Paradise Resort. Anywhere in North America can use the English version of Paradise Resort. It gets a large version of the player base. Okay, cool. So how much are you paying for a Honolulu Paradise Resort? Somewhere in the region of about $400. $400 is about what you're paying. Now, it's kind of hard because there's a lot of graded ones on eBay. It's hard to get pictures of a bunch in a row. So, I don't know, like, believe me or don't believe me, that's really up to you. But they generally go for like $400. Here is one that sold a couple of days ago, as I record this, for $400. You notice it's got the World Championships 2024 stamp on it. It's got that lovely artwork of all the Pokemon surfing. That makes perfect sense. It's about a $400 card. Yes, it's expensive. Yes, it's quite a lot. But there's actually a lot of these out there. For those of you that don't know, when you qualify for the World Championships, you get one in every language. And this is quite important because it means it's, you know, you don't just get the English if you play with English cards. Everybody gets the English. But this ends up being the most expensive because more people can play with it. But there is another version of the English card, and that is the staff version. And the staff version is basically exactly the same with one important difference. It's got staff printed on it. That's it. That's the only difference. It has staff printed on it, and that makes it into a staff card. It is the English version. Staff cards are only available in English. That's very important. These are about $400. They're about the same. Here's two in a row. The last two sold, both sold for like $3.95. Staff cards are generally about the same price as the regular. Now, just to be clear, there will be some differences here or there in price. They won't all go for exactly the same. Sometimes you'll see some people getting a bargain. Sometimes you'll see some people paying massively above the odds. I'm going for kind of like the standard here. And we're talking about $400, whether you're going for English or whether you're going for staff. Okay. As for the staff numbers, I don't have the exact numbers here, But there are a lot of staff at Worlds nowadays, so yeah. Oh, also, maybe this is a decent time to point out, there's going to be a lot fewer players at Worlds this year because of the way we've changed qualification. I say we, Pokemon have changed qualification. There's going to be fewer players at Worlds, so I would expect the price of this year's Paradise Resort to actually increase over previous years. I would expect it to be more expensive than, say, the last couple of years because there are fewer players and hence there'll be fewer given out. I assume fewer players also means fewer staff, so fewer staff versions. We'll have to wait and see, but expect this year's to be more expensive. Now, the other language which ends up being very expensive is Japanese. More so than some of the others. Here's the last three sold on eBay right now. 110, 135, best offer accepted on 220. Now, you will notice that this is, and I mean this, significantly cheaper than we see from the English version. But it's still the second most expensive. Why? Because there's a lot of Japanese players and they go after this one. It's always English first, Japan second. There's a very large number of Japanese players, but they all tend to be in Japan, whereas obviously the players playing with English cards are anywhere in Europe, even if you don't speak English, and then North America, etc., etc. So Japanese comes in second, but it comes in a fair way down. What about the other languages? Well, the other languages, yeah, these are pretty cheap, honestly, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I'm not saying this will be the case for all of them, but a bunch of languages sold for like $20 on eBay. Like, you can pick up other... Now, I'm not saying you can always pick them up this cheaply, but I am saying sometimes you can. English and Japanese are the languages that tend to be the most expensive. And outside of those, it's all right. It's really, really not that expensive. It's not a terribly expensive card once you get past the English. And certainly, you know, the other languages don't appear on eBay all the time, and they're not always that cheap, don't get me wrong. A lot of the time they're nearer like $50. But yeah, the non-English, non-Japanese languages can be very, very cheap. Like, as I record this, there is literally a Chinese version on eBay for $30. Traditional Chinese. That's Hong Kong and Taiwan. £23 or $30. That is literally on eBay right now, available as I record this video. The non-English, non-Japanese languages do tend to be quite cheap. English and staff, number one, then Japanese, and then basically everything else. As a side note, if you're a European player, remember every European language is legal for tournaments in Europe. So you can pick up the Spanish, Italian, French, whatever, and then you can actually then go and just play with those. That's what I did when we had expensive Worlds promos in the past. Okay, so that's a good look at the Honolulu promo from 24. What about the Yokohama promo from 2023? How does that compare? Well, favorably. Which doesn't actually narrow it down now, does it? Now, once again, other languages, there's a bunch on eBay for like 20 quid or $20. You can pick the other languages up of Paradise Resort from Yokohama. Now, again, I'm not saying they're always going to be on there for $20. I'm saying some people have listed them and that you see it fairly often, all right? Not saying you will all be able to get them. Cannot stress that enough. Also, side note from your old pal Wassy, can people please stop listing non-English versions and putting English in the listing so that when I search for English versions, I find non-English versions? It's actually super annoying. Now, when I said they compare favorably, I was talking about if you're selling. This one is actually a little more expensive. Again, it's hard to find lots in a row because of all the people who are listing them as English when they're not. In the English language, they're a different language card. I like having all the languages of Paradise Resort, but when I'm trying to look up a specific language, it's annoying when people have listed it as something else. About $400-ish. Now, to be clear, $400 does tend to be on the lower end. $4 to $4.50 is about what we're looking at for Paradise Resort. And you may notice this is a little bit more. This is a little bit above what we're generally seeing. When I told you about the one from 2024, the Honolulu one, I told you about the English version. I told you that it's about $400, but that's on the high end. Yokohama tends to be that on the lower end. It's very important to note. As for the staff version, this is where you do see a little bit more of a difference. Remember, the staff version was about $400 in Honolulu. As we get to Yokohama, honestly, they're available. Like, look at these last 3 that were sold. There was one that sold for $400 because somebody put it up assuming it was going to be bid and it only got one bid, but the other sold for $500 and $580. And as a side note, if you have a staff version of this card, if you can sell them in places like Japan, where they just don't get staff versions coming in ever, you can get a premium even above this. And similarly, if you try buying one of these in Japan, you're going to spend a lot more money. But the point I'm making is the staff version shows that the Paradise Resort in Yokohama more expensive. The other languages are still very cheap, but English and especially staff were more expensive from Yokohama. So to go back to this year then in Anaheim, well, like I've told you, I expect it to be more expensive, and I actually feel really good about that prediction because, well, there's going to be fewer of them. I think it's actually an incredibly easy prediction to make. We're heading into a situation where we know that there's going to be fewer copies available, so that means that there's just going to inevitably be a higher premium charge for them. But now you know the differences between the different types of Worlds promos and exactly how much they've gone for in the past couple of years, and you can hopefully use that to guide yourself for this year moving forward. I've told you everything you need to know, so now it's over to you guys. Tell me if you're going to be picking up a promo either as a staff member or a player. Tell me if you want one. Tell me if you're happy without them. Go nuts in the comment section, but be nice. And please do remember that with the YouTube algorithm changes, likes and comments mean so much more than they used to. So if you'd be kind enough to drop a like or comment down below, that would be wonderful. And we do need to finish, as always, with a shout out to one of our lovely patrons. So shout out to Tamberlin, one of our supporters at patreon.com/PTCG Radio, who's been a supporter for a while and is awesome. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.